Good morning. It's Breakfast with the Broker every Tuesday morning. Usually it's at 9 a.m., but we have a special guest today at 10:30. I want to give a proper intro. All right. And now, by way of Delray Beach, Florida, formerly Chicago, Illinois, he was one of Chicago Realtors' top agents in Chicago. He is a top 100 agent in Delray Beach, Florida for RE/MAX in the country. He is a Diamond Award winner, grossing over $1 million in commissions. He is also a scout. He was a former scout for Dave Dombrowski as a Chicago White Sox, signing 3 big leaders. He once listed 60 homes in 60 days. He is Brian Boles Sells Homes Boles.
How are you?
Good morning.
On Alabama.
What's that?
Congratulations on Alabama.
Yeah, thank you. The crazy thing is we tried to do this in-person thing, and it would have gone really, really well, the in-person thing, if we didn't have to be socially distant.
Yes. It worked.
Listen, I really appreciate you coming back on, and I really wanted to kind of pick your brain and understand the value of what a real estate professional does, because, in this climate, in this market, especially in South Florida where the demand is high and inventory is low, we're having some obstacles here, aren't we?
Yeah, we definitely are. I'm trying to convince everyone who is thinking of selling in the future to sell now, because it's like the stock market. It can change so fast. I think we're going to be strong for a while. I hate to say this because people are suffering, but with COVID around, people are coming from New York and California, Illinois, Connecticut, New Jersey to Florida like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the buyers' behaviors have changed, where they used to, come down to South Florida for a season or 3 or 4 months. They're saying, you know what, we're just going to buy a place because we're going to want to go ahead and, come down whenever we want. It might not just be in January, February. I might come down in April. I may come down in September, October, and I really want a place down here.
Yeah, I think they want green space too. They want a backyard. They want to go out in the sun. If they're going to socially distance, they might as well be in their backyard in the pool in Florida. And so there's no state tax here too.
Agreed. And for this market, we've seen markets like this before. I mean, maybe not, as quickly as as things are going, but yeah, I mean, pretty much we've seen hot markets before, low inventory, high demand. And always what happens is sellers look at it, or people who are not realtors decide to get their own, the real estate license, and sellers look at it and say, oh, it's just too easy. I'm just going to go ahead and sell the house for sale by owner because you know what? I can do exactly what a realtor does. What do you think?
I think anyone can sign out and sell by owner right now, but knowing the contracts, knowing the pre-qualifications, knowing how to work with appraisers, with the escalating prices from month to month, I think selling a house is just one small step in the process of what we offer a seller or offer a buyer when they're looking for a house. I mean, there's a lot of steps that people aren't accustomed to.
And what are those steps? Because, when you look at sellers say, you know what, like I said, it's very easy to sell. We just put it on, on the MLS, or we get a flat fee company or whatever we do, right? We're doing it for sale by owner. We put it on, Zillow or all these other kind of stuff and to sell it on their own. But, what people don't fail to realize is that, most of the time it's multiple offer situations. So unless you know your way around the contract, especially a Florida contract, you're going to have a little harder time understanding what your obligations may or may not be.
Yeah, I think it's tough. I mean, when you have 10 or 12 offers, you have to decide what's the best offer. Sometimes I tell a seller, we're not taking that offer, and they say, but it's the highest, Brian. And I said, I don't think that's going to be the one that's going to make it to the closing table. I just heard Mike Nathanson on a little podcast yesterday. He sold 3 on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and 2 were above asking, and 1 was full price, and he had 90 showings, and I believe he said over 10 offers. So you need a professional to decide which one's going to be the best offer. I mean, the more money the seller makes, the more we make, but we want to make sure we pick the right contract that's going to close. That's the end result. If we pick the wrong one, waste 60 days, they're saying, Brian, nice working with you, and we're going to call Dave Serle now. So, it's our job to make sure we're going to pick the right contract that's going to make it to the closing table.
Sure, and time is money, and certainly the frustration that sellers feel in this market, like kind of pale in comparison to what the buyers feel, right? So the buyers right now are just frustrated, and we have a really true affordable housing crisis coming up because the demand is so high. And what's unusual to me is that we used to have California and Chicago mostly went to the west coast of Florida, but now they're coming to the east coast. Now they're coming to South Florida. So our demand domestically has really increased in the South Florida market.
Well, there's so much Boca. It's become a destination spot. I mean, Delray is, I'll go on Atlantic Avenue when it's safer, but there's so many options on the avenue, or we have great beaches. We're close to spring training, and Boca has great restaurants and Meisner Park, and there's a lot of things to do in South Florida.
COVID has certainly changed the way we do business and the way we look at things and the behaviors of things and how we react to them. When you're looking at, Florida, we don't realize like how fortunate we really are, because we look at other places and, a lot of them are either shut down or they have, outside seating in restaurants, things that will, you have to be safe and obviously use COVID safety protocols, but we're pretty much able to freely go wherever we want, make the decisions for us and our family in our best interest. And I think that's also what's spearheading some of the demand, is that people want to be, they're tired. They've been 9 months, cooped up in a house, not being able to see a lot of friends, family, and do some of the things that they normally would have done.
Yeah, I mean, up in Chicago, at minus 30 below right now, my friends are stuck inside. And so, I mean, when I tell them it's 70, 80 degrees, they're like, you're so lucky. I remember, except for going to baseball practice, you'd be stuck, or school, you'd be stuck inside for like 4 months. And it was like the sign of spring. You're like, oh my God, thank God spring's here.
So, I always thought, when I saw you and you go into your office and you look at your marketing techniques from back in Chicago, I always thought those were interesting. Tell us a little bit about your marketing back in Chicago. It was kind of just a little bit different, so, kind of stood above the crowd.
So my marketing in Chicago was Boles Moves Homes. There's an ad of me pushing homes, and they're leaning. And I was on billboard benches. I had, me against Hourglass, Baby New Year, time is running out, sell your new home. I was coming out of the cornfields. If you call him, he will come. I was in a tree holding bananas. Brian doesn't monkey around when it comes to selling your home. So it was effective, but one of my friends called me once and said, Brian, your ads are unprofessional. And I said, what's the first thing you look at in the Beverly Review? The Beverly Review was our local newspaper. And she said, I go to your ads first. And I said, thank you. So a fellow competitive agent was going to my ads first. So I knew they were working. Even if they didn't like my ad, they still flipped to my page first. So we did everything.
Yeah, it's I think too many people try and kind of go with the crowd, especially as real estate professionals. We're like, okay, we're supposed to direct mail, so we direct mail, and so we're supposed to send market reports and just lists and just so, and that's all well and good. But you have a 20-year track record sending out postcards every month and the sign of consistency. How, as a real estate agent getting into the business, am I ever going to compete with that? Well, the only way you can compete with that is doing something different. Don't do what everyone else is doing. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think right now, if I were to go back into business, I might go back to those ads and stand out. At least they'd be talking about you. I remember there was an agent, and I don't know if she's still in the business. I think her name was Sandy Shine, the hat lady, and she was known for wearing her hats on showings and listings, and Don King with his hair. He stood out. That was his branding. Frank McKinney, the local developer here, with his rock and roll hairdo and his crazy outfit. Sorry, Frank. His purple hair, his blue hair, his white hair. But he stands out.
Yeah.
He's branding himself.
Yeah, and you really do need to stand out because branding is so important, especially nowadays. When you're looking at, I mean, look at the SNL skit. The SNL Zillow Remax skit. People have been giving flack about Remax and stuff like that, about Remax Donna or whatever her name is. But I just think it was great publicity. It was hilarious, and when you thought about real estate, you thought about Remax, and it was pretty cool, pretty powerful.
Yeah, that was really bad, and got the Remax brand name out again. So,
Sure.
And it was during the Super Bowl, so that was the biggest audience ever.
Agreed. Now, when you're talking about your habits, right? The vital activities you do on a daily basis are very important, and I always say that from an agent's perspective, we all have the same amount of time in the day, all days in a week, and days in a year, whatever, months in a year. But it's what you do with those days. It's the least amount of waste full time and such. Tell us a little bit about a day in life in Brian Boles' day.
So when I come to the office, the first thing I do is schedule what my assistants will be working on today. We're trying to get new business, and we're looking at where our deals are right now. I think we have 18 pending. So I was looking at it today. Is there any escrow money due, or is there any inspections coming up? Are we all in line with everything? So then I go on to, I call it drip, where you stay in front of your people, but try not to be such a pest that they say, Brian, stop it. It's hard right now because this is the lowest amount of listings I've ever had in my 34-year career. So you're like, gosh, I want to call that person who's going to list in a week again. And you have to stop yourself because you just have to say, okay, they're going to be calling me in a week, or, you don't want to pester them so much that the only listings that are in your pipeline, you lose. So you want to make sure they know that you're out there. You want to give them valuable information. Your neighbor just sold for X amount of dollars, something valuable. But if you don't have anything of value, don't call them. They know. I mean, they know.
So you come in the morning, you get ready for your assistants. You make sure you're clear and concise as to what their tasks are for that particular day and getting ready. What are you doing in the afternoon?
The mornings is always prospecting and working on returning emails and setting up showings or listings. The afternoon is always for listings or showings. The morning is always trying to develop new business, cultivate new leads, new business, talk to past people, your sphere of influence, see if they have any friends looking. The hard part when you've been in the business a long time, you lose the basics. You don't stay in touch with your sphere enough. You don't write handwritten notes like you did when you first started. You're not doing the things that help grow your business because you're busy with your current business. So there's a lot of things that can help me grow my business to another level that I'm not doing and I should be doing more of. But you only have 24 hours in a day, so you kind of run with the people that are looking now today or are looking to list in the next month or so. I had a guy text me who wants to see a home Saturday, and I said, when are you thinking of buying? He said, in 6 months. And I said, it's a little early. And he said, well, maybe I'll just see it with someone else. And I said, no, I'll show it to you, but I just want to let you know it's kind of early in the process to be looking. So, but I'm going to go out with them and develop a relationship, and hopefully someday we'll work together.
And that's the difference of, a I don't know, top agent or work ethic in a top agent. It's it's not just about showing a home and selling a home. It's about creating those relationships, building those relationships, and listening to what the customer. If the customer needs 6 months or a year to understand the market before they're purchasing, well, if you want that particular buyer, you better do what they ask you to. To a certain degree, and obviously it needs to fit within your business plan. But yeah, I think that's a great point.
Well, here's the thing in the business nowadays, they have so many options. They have so many real estate agents they can call. If they don't like your answer, they'll call one of 17,000 agents in Palm Beach County. They can go on the next one. How the business has changed since I started in Chicago is, if you don't text someone back right away, they're like, is Brian okay? You only have a few minutes before they're on to the next person, and before you lose them.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember Mike Ferry used to teach, kind of a program essentially, and he used to say that, you shut your phone off at 5, or you do a voicemail. Some of the other coaches, talk about, just doing voice. Return my phone calls between 12 and 1 every day, and if you're after that, I'm going to call you back in the morning. And that probably doesn't work today.
No, I think I didn't respond. I think my people offer would lose. Yeah, if I had a buyer.
So listings is a name of the game. He or she who owns the inventory owns the market. And when you're looking at listings and prospecting for listings, as you said, it's very difficult in this kind of a market right now. What are you doing something maybe somewhere different? Because we've talked over the years, and you'll go on a ton of listing appointments, and you'll get majority of it, but it's the 2 or 3 that you didn't get that really really make you upset.
You think? So it's hard because there's right now everyone's offering lower commissions, and where you almost have to make a decision: is it worth me taking a listing when it's this low of a commission? Some people are taking commissions for, I see in the computer where they're paying out $100 to the other agent. I went on a listing yesterday, and I said to the lady, why don't you offer me a little bit less than the selling agent? Because there were quite a few number of listings in her neighborhood, which was rare. And I said, why don't you offer 3.5% payout, so your listing will attract other agents to show it, and not just offer 2.5. Why don't we offer 3.5? So they'll be pushing your listing. Us as agents, we want a nice commission on the other side when we're representing the buyer. So I try to always get 3%. Well, you try to get as much as you can.
Obviously, we talk about commissions, but commissions are all negotiable. And, when you're looking from a, seller's point of view, the seller dictates, the offer of compensation and such. And, and our business model, it dictates, individually what agent can, what you're willing to take and what you're willing not to take. So, ultimately, when we take listings, yeah, I do think that there's pressure on some reduced and lower commissions, but there's a certain degree of value in what we do, as far as, step by step. You talked about the process. Perfect example. Who has a, proven success strategy for sellers to get the most amount of money in the least amount of time? And that's, what you're providing. There's a track record, a 34-year track record is pretty impressive, as opposed to someone coming in and saying, you know what, I'll lower my commission to X. Well, you know what, ultimately, as the old adage says, you get what you pay for.
Yeah, I agree with you. 3 of my next 5 closings are, I'm the second agent in. So, and I didn't even change the price. I listed a property at 1210 Palm Trail, and I think we sold it in 24 days, and we kept the price the same, and we got close to asking a cash deal that we just put on social media today, I believe.
Yeah, it's so as we go through this market and such, what are you looking at? Because when you look as an agent, and I certainly look up to you as an agent, as a top 100 agent in the country for Remax. You made diamond level last year, which congratulations. And and I see the hard work and the work ethic. I mean, think about it. Like, our whole world turned upside down as of really kind of in that March, the end of February, beginning of March last year. And a lot of agents just kind of curled up in a ball and said, why me? Why me? It's kind of like the Who Moved My Cheese, book. I think that is pretty apropos to it. And you went ahead and went to go find a new cheese, I think.
Yeah, I had to 4 weeks of COVID. I didn't know how to handle it because I'm like, I felt if I called people, I should just call them to make sure they're healthy and not talk real estate. And then I finally think the switch turned down where I said, I think people are ready to talk real estate. And so I just went in with the mindset, this is what I do for a living. People want to talk real estate or talk about other things. We all know there's a pandemic out there. And I know you came to me and said, you think you're going to make diamond this year? And I said, yes. And you said, well, you got a ways to go. And I said, why not? Why can't I do it? I mean, I never tried to think of, listen, there's bad news every day in the world. So you try to block out the noise. When I was in pro baseball, I would tell the upcoming prospects, just made it to the big leagues, don't read the newspapers. Just do your job. Don't read about that you're playing poor and this and that. And I saw some guys just get destroyed by newspaper clippings, and the Hall of Famers that I saw, like Tom Seaver, he just knew he was going to be great and didn't read anything. He would do crossword puzzles and then go out and throw a shutout. And so, I watched Tom Brady Sunday, and he made a comment that if I throw an interception, I just learn from it and go on and try to win the game. And he's just so poised. I mean, he's not the best athlete we've ever seen. He doesn't run fast. He doesn't have the strongest arm in the NFL of all time, but he's just so smart of a leader. I mean, he sees 4 guys. He may check off on 3 guys and then hit Gronk as his 4th option. And he's just a genius on the field and a great leader. So he doesn't let the distractions of no camp or playing with these guys for the first time he doesn't make excuses why they shouldn't win the Super Bowl. He's like, we're going to win the Super Bowl. And I was like, they destroyed Kansas City. I was shocked. So I think you change your mindset. You adapt to the world. COVID's not going away. I don't know when it's going away, a year from now, 2 months from now, 2 years. So you deal with it. I mean, we don't have any options. I mean, you try to stay safe, keep your mask on, socially distance, but, there's opportunities right now in real estate, and I think people are blaming COVID for why they're not doing well when they should be doing really well.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. You could really just make excuses for anything that you do, or you could embrace them and change the perspective, change the message, and have more meaningful conversations. The other thing that you do really, really well, besides just the process, is having the knowledge of a market and knowing what your competitors are doing, what they're saying, what the average price per square foot in a particular area is, knowing how many listings are coming up and knowing them immediately so that you have a leg up on the competition. Tell us a little bit about how you gain that knowledge of the market and what do you do to continue to further that knowledge going forward?
Well, I look at areas that I farm every day and see if there's any new trends or any changes in the market overnight. I mean, you have to know what's going on. Did 2 new listings come up in Lake Ida today, or did 2 sell? So if 2 sold, it means that it's even more of a seller's market. If 2 came up against one of your listings, then you're like, well, we got a little competition now. Maybe it's going to be a little tougher and we might have to tweak the price down the road. So you watch to see what's going on. Lately, it's been more of there's no inventory. So you're like, well, how am I going to price this? I'll give you an example. I went on a listing on the water 4 months ago. The teardown sold for $930,000. And I said, what am I going to ask that's going to be attractive enough for a builder to tear it down, but yet not scare off anyone looking at it? So I asked $1,125,000. So it went from $930,000 to $1,125,000 in 4 months, same exact 80-foot waterfront lot, and it sold in an hour. So, I mean, and you're thinking to yourself, did I leave money on the table, or was that, and I thought maybe that was the attractive price for the builder.
No, I agree. When you're having the knowledge of the market and you're understanding the trends of the market, you could price it appropriately because the price entry point has never been more important than, right now. If you look at the properties that are staying on the market, when I say staying, anywhere from 30, 40 days on, those are properties that are just overpriced, or they're, just wrecks and, people don't want to do the work. But, if it is nice or upgraded and renovated and, and it's overpriced, as long as it's not overpriced, like, 10, 15, 20%, it's going to sell.
Yeah, if it's definitely, because there's no excuse with 2.5% interest rates, no inventory, no state tax, the warm weather, a pandemic. If it's not selling right away, most listings you're seeing now are selling in 1 day.
Yeah.
I presented 3 offers for the same buyer Friday. A buyer from Kansas City I worked with 20 years ago, and he called me back, and we presented an offer. There were 5 offers above asking on a house in Delray, and then we went to the second one. Had been on the market 2 months, so we figured we'll get that one for sure. That went for cash deal, and so then we went for the third one, and it was just reduced, and we got that one. But the first 2, we had no chance. There were 5 offers above asking. We were not a cash buyer. So if you don't have your mortgage set up, I use Craig Stelzer. There's a lot of great mortgage lenders, but I know Craig can get me an approval in 10 days, clear to close. And so you better have your mortgage set up as a buyer in this market if you're not a cash buyer. Because they might wait if you're
sorry, go ahead.
They might wait the 10 days, Dave, if you have a better offer. They're not going to wait 45 days for a loan approval.
Yeah, you got to be prepared for the opportunity. I mean, the days of, going ahead and writing an offer and then coming to terms and then going to get pre-approved, or even going in the car and seeing a house before being pre-approved or having your proof of funds. it doesn't not only does it not make sense, and it's a disservice to you because you really truly don't know if you can afford the place, especially if you're getting financing. But it's a disservice to everyone because then you go ahead and now all of a sudden everything's rushed. You got to get the pre-approval. You got to sign the offer. Maybe you're going to get beat out by multiple offers and those kind of things. And there are tricks of the trade that we can do in order to get our offers through. And we've talked about it. Anywhere from putting together maybe a longer inspection contingency by waiving the mortgage contingency. There are things that we can figure out on a multi-offer situation. But I appreciate you, Brian, coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for your support. I've been with Dave 20 years, and thank you. You pushed me to reach newer heights.
Brian, you're the best. I mean, always approachable. Your processes are second to none. Your routine and habits and discipline are second to none. And we certainly appreciate you and everything that you do for the real estate industry. It's not just about, our office or our agents, because you have more relationships with agents than I've ever seen before. And it's a testament to your character and integrity. So we certainly appreciate it.
Thank you, Dave. Can I ask questions?
Yeah, you see that? Not only that, you're prepared for the opportunity. You already know the last two questions.
You handed me the questions before this interview, right?
I might have. So,
Yeah.
We'll go a little different way because I know you're a movie critic. What's your all-time favorite movie?
Oh, gosh. Maybe Shawshank Redemption.
I love that. That's one, the funny thing is there's a certain few movies that when you're cycling through, your channels and it comes on, you just stop and watch it for the 100th time or whatever it is. It was very clever. What are you currently watching? Either streaming or what are you excited for on a movie?
I just finished Cobra Kai. I just watched a couple of Netflix movies, and I watched the HBO documentary on Tiger. They had a 2-part series. I thought that was interesting. Everything he'd been through, the trainings of what his dad Earl put him through as a kid to become a prodigy, to become Tiger Woods. And I thought that was interesting. I mean, he's amazing in his mental focus on the golf course. Yeah,
agreed. I've watched Cobra Kai, so did Kathy Hyatt. I think a lot of people did. It's kind of like a train wreck, you just can't turn away. It was funny and nostalgic, I guess I would say.
It's amazing how we want to go back to our past. I go see Styx play at Coral Sky or Chicago or Boston, or we all want to go back to our past.
No, agreed. So I just finished a really good series called Lupin. It's it's kind of a French show that's dubbed, but it's about it's kind of a cross between the Thomas Crown Affair and Money Heist, and it's phenomenal, really, really phenomenal. One of my favorite shows I've seen recently. So, Brian, as always, Boles Sells Homes. We appreciate you coming on, giving some value and insight into your business, and we appreciate everyone's support. We did receive the RIS Media Trendsetter 2021 Newsmaker Awards, and we're one of nearly 300 people in the country that received it. So we are very excited, and thank you for our loyal supporters and people that just watching. And we're trying to perpetuate that professionalism in the industry as well as collaboration. So we very, very much appreciate all of you. And next week, Breakfast with the Broker, every Tuesday at 9 a.m. or thereabouts. Thanks so much, Brian. Take care. Have a great week.
Congratulations.
Thank you.